Alright everyone, so something happened on Saturday, August 21st, 2021 that would change my life forever. Now, I hear that you're all saying, well Guillermo, just what exactly is this thing that changed your life? And I'm also glad that you asked, because I'm here to announce that the Retro Gamers finally has 11 subscribers. That's one more than 10. Now, I'm going to be honest, not only does this not make any sense to me, I also don't even have a clue as to how this happened. We don't even create our own content here at Retro Gamers. I just hit the record button and stuff starts to show up in my video folder. It's kind of strange, really. But anyways, enough of my yapping. For my 11 subscriber special, I will actually be doing a 10 subscriber special. And for my 10 subscriber special, I'll be going over a list of 10 movies that I would not give a perfect 10 to. The first movie we have here is Dredd 3D. Dredd 3D is an absolutely fantastic movie. The slow motion is great, the special effects are great, the action is great, and the pacing is great. So, what exactly does this movie lack? It's simple. It would have been a lot better if Judge Dredd ended up saying the line, "The city's guilty, the crime is life, the sentence is death." I get that line belongs to the Dark Judges, but if you're not going to have the Dark Judges in the movie, you might as well give that line to Judge Dredd. At least this movie doesn't have him take his helmet off. That would have been a really dumb move. Our second movie would have to be Hard Boiled. Hard Boiled, just like Dredd 3D, happens to be a fantastic movie. The movie is over 2 hours long and has a kill count of over 300. Plus the plot point of making a weapons arsenal right under a hospital is really good. I wish I would have thought of that. So what could have made this good movie even better? Adding 10 more deaths. It sounds silly, but in this case it really is that simple, because I don't think the kill count is just quite high enough. Let's move on to movie number 3, Johnny Got His Gun. Have you ever watched a movie that has made you depressed? If you answered yes to that question, but the answer was anything than Johnny Got His Gun, then you're clearly wrong. Sorry to say that. Johnny Got His Gun is a movie about a hopeless situation that absolutely has no chance of getting better. Johnny's life will never be good apart from death, and that is one of the reasons that makes it so sad. Regardless, I've probably seen this movie about 4 or 5 times. Now, I know that no one is going to believe what number 4 is. That movie is going to happen to be Perfect Blue. I just want to say that if you've watched the movie Black Swan, then you have already watched Perfect Blue. Perfect Blue is quite a mind trip of a movie. Reality is presented in such a way that it may not be real, with events being disjointed from one another, blurring the lines between what is real and what is fake. Anyways, I'm pretty sure that I don't even understand this movie, and that it is of a higher level of depth than Christopher Nolan's Inception or even Neon Genesis Evangelion. Nevertheless, I really like this movie. However, I think it could have benefited from something like maybe having a red dress, or using the color red in the movie in some significant manner, and calling it Perfect Red instead of Perfect Blue. That isn't to say that this movie is all bad, though. It did introduce me to my favorite pop band of all time, so that does count for something. We all know the saying that perfect things come in fives. The next movie just happens to be RoboCop, which has 4 movies in this series instead of 5. RoboCop was a movie that I was always interested in when I was a kid, but only ended up watching all later in life, into my early 20s actually. All I really remember hearing about it was that it was a good movie, and RoboCop does not disappoint at all in that regard. The bad guys are very unlikable from the get-go, and you want them to be brought to justice, especially for what they have done to Murphy. This isn't just purely an action film, though. Murphy goes through somewhat of a journey trying to regain his humanity, which eventually he does at the end. All that coupled with an awesome theme song and soundtrack, the prediction that Detroit would go bankrupt, and the RoboCop statue being built in Detroit, why isn't RoboCop a perfect 10? That is an easy one to answer, because RoboCop can't run. Sorry guys. What's even better than things coming in fives? 6 is the answer. Unless you're Spinal Tap, then in that case, the answer would have to be 11. Spinal Tap was a movie that I got into when I picked up the electric guitar back in 2007. Ironically enough, this is one of those movies that I will simply rate by quoting a line from the movie. What day did the Lord create Spinal Tap, and couldn't he have rested on that day too? Yeah, that's pretty vicious, but it's true. While this movie has its great moments, this band is all about going to 11, and they just don't seem to do that in this documentary, even though they specifically show how they have modified Marshall heads that go to 11. What's the point, guys? That's dumb. Now, number 7 is the greatest movie of all time. If there is a movie worthy of a perfect 10, it is this one. That is Terminator 2. When I first saw this movie, my mind was absolutely blown. Except there is one big, massive issue. And that is that this movie shouldn't even exist. In Terminator 1, during the interrogation scene, Kyle Reese talks about how the Resistance blew up the time displacement equipment. And with that equipment gone, no one else can travel back in time. So with all that in play, for some reason we get 2 more Terminators traveling back in time in this movie. I say that is some truly bogus storytelling. Someone dropped the ball big time. This movie could have easily been improved upon by simply not existing instead of having such a broken story. I think that's easy enough, and a reasonable enough solution. Number 8 is The Final Frontier. In explosions, that is. Trinity and beyond. Everyone says that Michael Bay movies have crazy over-the-top CGI explosions. And that is probably true. But Michael's Bay work is nothing compared to anything that happens in Trinity and beyond. This movie talks about nuclear history, from the development of the very first nuclear bomb to one of China's first nuclear tests. Every explosion is bigger than the last. An island gets turned into a crater from all the nuclear testing, and the soundtrack fits amazingly well, and is a pleasure to listen to. Where did this movie go wrong then? Well, they barely talk about the Tsar Bomba, the largest nuclear weapon to ever be tested. The mushroom cloud was so tall that it was only 10 miles away from reaching outer space, and its effects could be felt around the world. The shockwave caught up to the aircraft that were used to deliver the bomb, putting all those individuals in danger. In a movie that's all about nuclear bombs, not capitalizing on the Tsar Bomba was clearly a very big mistake. Okay guys, bear with me here. I think it's safe to say that number 9 transcends cinema. Because it's not even a movie, it's a game. That game is Valkyrie Profile. I don't even know how this managed to get on the list, but here we are. If you want to play a good JRPG, you should play this game. This last movie undeniably deserves the number 10 slot on this list. Not that order even matters, seeing as that I'm just going by alphabetical order. That movie, however, is WALL-E. I remember seeing WALL-E in theaters when it first came out. I was 16, and it was one of those movies that made me feel like a kid again. Like all the other movies on this list, or even video games, everything about this movie is good, but it just falls short in some aspects that makes it not a perfect 10. While this movie has many amazing scenes, such as the opening, middle, and end, what I found to be the main weak point is when WALL-E dies. I don't mind that he dies and is repaired by Eve. What I mind is that they bring the character back by causing him to glitch, causing him to have a personality again, thus making his sacrifice meaningless. I know that what I'm asking for probably would have made a lot of little kids cry, but someone has to teach them that sacrifice without loss isn't a sacrifice at all, more like a minor inconvenience. And that right there is why WALL-E sucks. Well, alright everyone, that was my list of 10 movies that I would not give a 10 to. See y'all next time for our billion subscriber special, whenever that happens. Laters everyone.